Well, so far, it's been very solid. Yes, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I originally, when I was making the first film, I'd never planned it to be a trilogy, but now that I'm into the third one, I feel very confident with it, and I feel like I'm heading it in the right direction, and it's really a testament to me and the team. You know, I have a great team of people that I know, and they have all committed 100% to this. Yes, there's been challenges along the way. You know, nothing ever runs smoothly, but you know, you work with what you have, and I really feel privileged that I came up with this idea and I was able to tell this story. And I feel very glad that it will now be 3 films together as a big, grand story that can be seen from beginning to end. Oh, the third one, yeah. With the third film, I wanted 50 Slices to feel very different to the first two. The first two have a similar kind of structure in that it's the family, they get together in the house and there's a big palaver and then there's a big fight. You know, that's a very dumbed down explanation of what happens. This one, there's more emotion, there's more conflict, there's more drama, and there's also more humour. Some scenes are quite more extreme than others, but yeah, I think it was a case of raising the bar and also bringing the story to its natural conclusion, making sure all the loose ends were tied up, and I think that was what I wanted to do when I made the decision to make not one but 2 more bonding films. I made the second one with the intention of making another one to bring the story to a natural close. I thought there was more story to tell after the first one, and I'm just glad that I get to fully express that. The idea came to me just out of nowhere, really. I mean, I seem to have a knack for writing comedy. I seem to like writing it, and I'm a big fan of the Bond series. And then through that, I just kind of the idea just came to me, and I really liked the idea of kind of not necessarily like sort of grounding the Bond series in a different context. Like the Bond series has a formula. You know, he's an agent, you know, he does his missions, and then he goes off, he has fun with all these women, then he comes home, you know, end of story. And I wanted to do something different to that. I wanted to take all the actors who play James Bond, make them characters, and put them together as a family. It ultimately, by doing that, you create something that's kind of, I wanted to pay homage to the series, but also it's something different. And because of that, I thought I'd make it a sort of satirical comedy. From all 3 of the movies, they are comedies. Because the scenario is quite ridiculous. The fact that they're all Bonds and they're all a family, that just appealed to me. And I think it's an idea that paid off. A lot of people seem to have responded very well to it. Well, in terms of 50 Slices of Bonding, this third part of the story, I think it's the best of the 3. I'm not trying to sound vain in that, but I generally think it's the best of the 3. It takes the story to another level. It takes the characters to another level. It's the most emotional of the 3. I think it's the funniest of the 3, and I think it's the most ambitious of the 3. It's on a bigger scale, and it separates itself more than the first 2 do as well. And I think gradually the whole story over the 3 films, like the first one starts out as quite a simple comedy film, and then the second one, the story expands to something a bit more dramatic, and this one it's even more. So from a scale point of view, it progresses quite a lot, and I think this one is the most exciting of the 3, and there's a lot of surprises in there. And also for the Bond fans of the official series, I've tried to add my own little references in there. So there's some nice little nods to the actual Bond series by names of characters or names of things, or, well, I'll leave you to watch the movie and find out what they are. Filming so far for 50 Slices, I've enjoyed getting the team back together. Some are old and some new. I've enjoyed directing. I really enjoyed the directing side of it, because so James Bond is something I'm very passionate about, and to make something of my own that is James Bond, I couldn't be happier. And also the fact that I'm also in it as well. I played Pierce Brosnan in the films as well. That's a great joy to direct and to act and to kind of put it all together is great. And I think I've just really looked forward to filming these scenes that I've written. It's when you write the scenes in the script, then you see them come alive. It really does. It kind of blows your mind in a way. You go, wow, okay, it's now alive. Because when I write down my scripts, I imagine the actors saying the lines. Obviously, when I've written the sequels, I've done that. The first movie, I kind of had to just draw from my own mind and from the Bond franchise. But it's really exciting stuff. It's not easy. It can be difficult at times with a lot of people, but the end result is so worth it. It really is. I haven't thought that far ahead. I haven't thought about making anything in terms of Bond after this. I will be doing other projects, obviously, within License to Film. I'm going to be directing a film for the Dark Nuke cinematic universe. I'm writing and directing a film called Nomad, so stay tuned for that, which will have elements of comedy and elements of action and drama and all of that sort of thing. But in terms of James Bond, I haven't thought that far ahead. I feel like this is a good way to end my trilogy that I've made. But I'm possibly producing a spin-off for a certain character who I will not mention yet. So that's going to be sort of sorted out, but I'm not sure exactly how that's going to fit in. I'm going to wait till I finish this before anything is confirmed to that. So. Well, I guess the way the actors portrayed the Bond, their own versions of Bond in the movies, in the official series, that was a good template for me to kind of construct the characters in my films. For example, Sean Connery, who's just completely... Well, I kind of changed Sean Connery, actually. I made him kind of more angry. He's angry dad, basically. Lazenby, who's an idiot, and he's kind of drunk. Dalton's over-emotional, the mother figure who's trying to keep this family together. Roger Moore's quite reserved, kind of like grandfatherly gentleman. Pierce Brosnan, who's a kid, who's out of his depth, he doesn't know what he's doing. And Daniel Craig, who's emotionless, he doesn't do anything. And so I've all tried to make them distinctive in what they do. But I think that's what's funny about it, is that you have these 6 different personalities together as one family, clashing. Obviously, more characters have been added into the story as the sequels have progressed. But in terms of the 6 Bonds, yeah, the actors themselves definitely provided a lot of inspiration, and I'm very glad that they were, because I now watch the films back and I think, well, you know, I've changed that and I've changed that. There are particular, you know, obviously the actors that I hire, they bring their own qualities to the roles. But it's nice that you can see the character of, say, Sean Connery or Daniel Craig or Pierce Brosnan in the actors. I mean, I'm not trying to talk about myself in a vain way here, but you know, it's really quite good, and because the whole thing is really centered around them. So if they weren't going to work, then the movies weren't going to work. So I'm really glad that they do work as characters, and people respond very well to them. They think they're hilarious. So that's good. It's good enough for me. The actors in my film. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to exclude myself for the moment. The other 5, of course, over the course of the films, some of them have been recast. This isn't because of me. This is due to practical issues. Some of them not being able to commit to the project. But some of them have stuck through, and some of them will be sticking through to all 3 of them. But you know, I felt like in Christmas Bonding, that was when I really got the cast down. I mean, the first movie was fine. I had to work with what I had, and that was great. But the second one, I really felt like the cast, the 6 Bonds had were fully fleshed out. I have a lot of loyal actors, and they were really committed to what they do. And I think the performances that I've achieved from those people have really helped make the films as good as they are, because without them it wouldn't work and people wouldn't be able to tell who's who, like what. But particular highlights to me are obviously Sean Connery. Jake is very good as Connery. Lazenby, Mick, does a good Australian accent, so that was quite funny. And then obviously Keys as Roger Moore, Ben as Timothy Dalton, and myself as Brosnan. At the end of the day, with Brosnan, I have the advantage of kind of looking a bit like him in the hairstyle. That wasn't intentional, but yeah. And then Daniel Craig, played by James. They're all wonderful sets of characters. I mean, I only decided to play Brosnan because, you know, I was really struggling to cast this guy, and I thought, well, is there any way forward, or do I have to step in and do it? And that's ultimately what I did. And I actually quite like playing a character. I seem to end up playing characters in all of my films. It just, not intentionally, but that's the way it seems to have worked out. I hope to do things that aren't just comedy related. I did make a film called The Truth Inside, which was more serious. It had elements of mild comedy, but it was a very serious, emotional drama. And I want to do more stuff like that. I want to show a bit more range as a director. I don't just want to be the guy that does comedy all the time. I'd like to have a chance at writing and directing more serious stuff, more grounded stuff. So that's what I want to do. I might try my hand at some more animation as well. I mean, I did make an animation film called Food Glorious Food, which was quite funny, if I say so myself. But yeah, so I mean, and I want to sort of close the door on this James Bond trilogy. Not that I will forget about it, but just that, you know, as I said, to show range and to move on. I'm looking forward to seeing the third film finally come to fruition, in the sense that this is the end of the trilogy. I want this to be grand and the best as it can be. I know it's not going to be like to the Hollywood standard. I know it's going to be, and it's you know, you can only do so much when you're on this budget, but I just want it to be a great memory as well, for me and also for the people who are involved in making it. As I said, I think it's the strongest of the scripts. It's in a good place, and I think if I hit the ground running, I can make it really good, and hopefully it will, you know, hopefully it will bring more people to work with me, because that's ultimately what I want to do. I want people to work with me in the future. So it'd be nice to do that, you know, work with more people and do different things. I hope people appreciate that it's different to the first two, and that it's more bold and it's bigger. But I don't want that to be the only thing. I want people to appreciate the script, so hopefully they'll like it. Hopefully they'll think it's funny and well rounded. I hope people can see the talents in not just me, but the people who are involved in the film. And I just want it to be, I want people to take away this whole trilogy, really, as a great, well, hopefully, show of my my skills as a filmmaker. And, you know, I want people to enjoy it. At the end of the day, I want people to just laugh, have a good time, enjoy it, and see this story finally come to its end. And finally, hopefully, this third film, they'll see it will tie up all loose ends. And that's what I really want. I want people to see that I can tell a story. So. Currently, I haven't finished the third one yet, but so far, it's been the whole experience. I know that sounds cheesy and cliched, but when you're involved with this many people, kind of, and also I feel like I'm a fan. I'm not just a filmmaker. I'm a fan of Bond, so I'm doing what I love. I'm enjoying James Bond while making this film, so that has been the best thing. And this third movie as well, because it does so much more than the first two. That's what's exciting me about it, is that people will hopefully see it and see how much more ambitious it is, and that I was able to achieve that. I just want people to go, wow, he actually did that. That's incredible. And that's, you know, I'm always trying to raise the bar when I'm in production. I'm always trying to work with the best people, and, you know, hopefully produce something that's amazing. And as for the whole trilogy, telling the story, that's been the best part, telling the story and working with all these people, all the actors, the cast and the crew. I've had a lot of support financially and in terms of locations. Thank you, Newtons. And you know, I feel like I've grown as a filmmaker. I don't want to say that again. I don't want to sound vain in that respect, but I do feel like this trilogy has taught me how to be a filmmaker. I've learned my experience of the first film was very different to the second and third. The first one, I didn't know what I was doing. I had to wing it. I had to just go with my gut and just do what I could. And despite that it was very flawed, people still loved it for what it was. Then the second one, I learned from that. I did a lot of things better, and I had more time to do it. And I mean, I didn't get that in the first one, and people loved it as well. So for this third one, I really want it to be the best thing I've ever done, and yeah, that's it really.
Okay, thank you for answering these questions, and